let me ask you guys a question. How good is Odell Beckham Jr. though? Is it just a one catch? Has he done anything over the span of 4 or 5 years? Because that's one of those things you kind of look at too. I know he gets a lot of pub off that one catch, but if you bring him on to your ball club, is he a winner or not?
With the 7-time Pro Bowler, he's on the Hall of Fame ballot. He retweets videos from this very show when he's wrong. That's the integrity that you get from Nick Mangold. And yes, it did turn out that the Titans were not lost without Derrick Henry, at least not last week. He also cruises through tailgates in a golf cart looking for people wearing his 74 jersey. Nick Mangold, welcome in, my friend. How are you?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm excellent. And, of course, the left tackle from the greatest show on turf, the Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. He wasn't even mad at Matthew Stafford throwing absurd interceptions from the end zone. He's just that loyal to the Rams. Well, we're halfway through the season, guys. Let's take a little 50,000-foot view of what we've seen so far. Orlando, let me start with you here. Biggest takeaway halfway through of this wild and willy season, where it seems like, hey, it's certainly wide open in the AFC and maybe even at the top for who's going to win this Super Bowl when we finally get there.
Yeah, for me, I have a couple takeaways for the first half of the season. The soap opera as the NFL turns. There's so much drama going on in the NFL. When you got, you start off with Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, that debacle. You go to John Gruden, and then you circle back around to Aaron Rodgers again. There's so many different storylines. Obviously with everything going on out there in Las Vegas with the Raiders. There's so much going on in the NFL off the field. Those distractions. I'm not sure if they've always been there, but they seem to be more potent now, just because I guess we're dealing with high-priced quarterbacks in this league. So, but yeah, that's one of my takeaways. The other takeaway, and you kind of alluded to it, is the AFC. Obviously, there were so many teams that we thought was going to, Kansas City. We didn't think Kansas City would be where they are at this point in the year. Everybody was high on Buffalo and what they were going to do. I was high on the Browns, and everybody looks like they're in that same pack. So we have no clear-cut favorite in the AFC. And to be honest, I kind of like it. I like the fact that, obviously going into the second half of the season, it's wide open. So any team really has a chance to go out and play and get a chance to get in the playoffs and possibly a Super Bowl. So those are my two takeaways for the first half of the year, but the drama is overwhelming almost. So,
yeah, I look at this, the first half of where like you look at things and see that nothing is kind of where we thought it was going to be. The Cardinals didn't think they were going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. Kansas City thought they would be at least competitive. There's just a bunch of different things that going on. Like Orlando said, Aaron, is he going to play for Green Bay? Is he not going to play for Green Bay? And then everything that we've had recently with the COVID, it's funny how the NFL turns is a real thing. Like every week it's a new storyline of some new drama. I do think the AFC has, I think Tennessee is up there. They proved that with the win against the Rams. Hand up, I was wrong. I thought, that they weren't going to be able to pull it out, but they look good. And so I think they've kind of established themselves. I think Buffalo still has to be in the discussion. I don't know what happened in Jacksonville. I think that has to be considered a clear cut letdown game. They were looking past it and trying to move on. And so that, those things happen. But the NFC, if I were sitting there, if I was Tom Brady or, Kyler Murray or any of these other guys, and like, God, if we were just in the AFC, like we'd be running away with this thing. And so like that competition, if it continues on the way that it has been, and the AFC just kind of grinds it out and figures out who's going to make the playoffs, and the NFC just trudges along, and you stick with those top 5 teams, the playoffs are going to be wild because you're going to knock off amazing quarterbacks that would probably be in the discussion. Well, if they were playing for the AFC, they'd make it to the Super Bowl. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the second half of the season because the first half has been awesome just as a fan.
We've got some drama built in on the show today. We're going to talk a little Baker. We're also going to talk about the NFL and the taunting, which is the biggest drama right now. But since you just teed up Rodgers for a second, do you look at that whole situation like the player is just so talented that he's worth everything that comes along with it, not having a huge discussion about the vaccine, just the amount of noise that's around the team, period?
It's one of those things that, Aaron is amazing. And, and so he's going to win you like football games. And I think that's why they've kind of put up with it for so long. I don't think Jordan Love came out and knocked anybody's socks off and say, oh, you know what, we can forget all this drama with Aaron, let's just move on. And so I think they have to put up with it because they know that, he puts them in the best position to win games. And I think it's more of a team media rather than a locker room thing. I don't think any guy in the locker room's like, you know what, I don't want Aaron here, because I got to answer a question, some question to a media guy. I don't think that's happening at all. I think it's more probably the front office and kind of the media around the team that gets more worked up about it than the guys in the locker room.
You know what? I agree. I don't think it's a locker room issue. And this is this is the way the NFL typically works. As long as your talent outweighs your distraction, you're fine. You're perfectly fine in the National Football League. As long as Aaron, which was really surprising for me because they were 7-1 when Aaron was playing. And, obviously I think it was, to have that type of success and still have that type of drama really speaks to it's more of a front office Aaron thing opposed to a team locker room thing. So those guys are still having success. I don't know with this latest COVID incident, obviously there are probably some players in that locker room that feel a certain kind of way. So it'll be interesting to see how the team progresses coming when Aaron comes back.
Based on Rodgers, I think, being out of the MVP discussion, although you could go off the board and say Aaron, let's look at right now, giving you guys a MVP vote. Who are you casting it for as we are halfway through here? Orlando, why don't you take that one first?
For me, it was a toss-up between Kyler and Lamar Jackson. I think I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson because he doesn't have a ton of talent with him, and he's had a ton of injuries. No running backs. They're on their third or fourth running back this season, and what he's doing out there in Baltimore is amazing. They've won a lot of close games lately, but he's pulled them through, and obviously, and got them to a pretty good record, first in the AFC. So excited to see what he's been doing. I can't wait to see what he's doing the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's tough because Lamar is a fantastic choice, for all the reasons that Orlando pointed out. But I think you still got to go with Kyler Murray, just where he's put his team, the position that he's put his team into. They've been winning and winning convincingly. And a big part of that is because of his play. So for me right now, halfway through, I'm still sticking with Kyler Murray.
No love for Tom Brady on this show.
I think what Tom has done, Tom has raised the bar so high. Obviously he has to do something remarkable. And he's been having a really good year, but obviously these young guns are coming up and they're playing extremely well. And I think Tom gets the Michael Jordan treatment almost, where Michael Jordan could have won the MVP every single year. So I think he's at that stage of his career now. But obviously these young guys are doing a great job, and you got to really tip your hat to what Lamar Jackson's doing.
Yeah, I look at Tom Brady, and it's just they're quietly having success, and I think that's why he won't get as much discussion because there's no real drama going around Tampa Bay. There's no, they've lost 2 games, I think, so they're not at the very top of the NFC. So I think it's kind of one of those things where I think, and I could be wrong here, but I think he would rather be left out of the discussion and just quietly keep winning games and roll on through to a potential second Super Bowl. Because, when you have all that media distraction, people talking about it, it can seep into a team a little bit. So it's probably actually better that he's getting left off, and also gives him, some of that chip on the shoulder that he's been carrying around since he got drafted in the 6th round, kind of builds that as well.
6-2, leading the NFL in touchdown passes with 25, only thrown 5 picks, 44 years old. That's all right. It's fine. Shows just no love for Brady. I like what you said, Orlando, about the Jordan treatment because, MJ. But all right, biggest, boldest, give me your wildest that's going to be somehow on point prediction for the second half, Nick. What are we going to see?
All right, so this is a wild one for me because it goes against my fiber and my being. I think the Browns are going to turn around and will make the playoffs and make a little run at it. You look at that team, they're now on their third running back, I think. And I think Baker has them working. They got rid of Odell, speaking of taunting and, drama and everything. And so I think that team is poised. They got a great defense. Baker's doing well. They get some of these running backs healthy. They can go deep.
Yeah, you know what? I'll stick in the same division there. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who reeled off 4 straight, and obviously with the aging Ben Roethlisberger, nobody gave him a chance. But ever since Mike Tomlin, he does a fabulous job in his pressers. Somebody made that USC coaching job, and he's ignited his team. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers go on a run and make the playoffs.
Wow, that is an interesting play. Do you think they actually win well, let's go further. Do they win a playoff game, Orlando?
I do think they win a playoff game, and I just think they have defense. What T.J. Watt is doing out there, he puts pressure on quarterbacks. They've always played tough, hard-nosed defense. If they can get to the point where they run the ball efficiently and Ben can make some throws and not lose the game and just manage the game, they always have a chance in the playoffs.
All right. Nick, do you think there's any team in the AFC that could actually win the Super Bowl?
It's going to be – I would say yes. I'm going to say yes because what always seems to happen when it gets close to that playoff time, and you saw it with the Giants twice, is whoever gets hot at the right time. That's why I do still have and I'll still say that they're the best team in the NFL, the Cardinals. But I have reservations on them because they're starting off so strong that I think they're going to peter out by the time the playoffs come around. So you need to look for that team that, gets kind of lit up right there in the middle of December and then just skyrockets through the playoffs and gets to the Super Bowl. So, and nobody knows what that team's going to be. And that's kind of the fun part of the NFL playoffs is you have no idea. And so while there might be a clear-cut NFC or an AFC team, there's someone's going to come in and cause disruption and just add to the more drama that is fantastic for the NFL.
Orlando, you got anyone in the AFC coming out, or are you just going to write off the whole conference?
You know what? I think I think the Cleveland Browns have enough talent to get it done. I really do. It depends on if they get hot at the right time and everybody's healthy. They have enough talent. I'll be surprised to see, and I'll bring up Lamar Jackson. I've talked about him a lot on the show already. I'd like to see if a running quarterback can actually win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's ever happened, but I would love to see it happen this year. But, obviously during the course of a year, and that's the thing that concerns me a little bit about Kyler as well. These guys run the ball so much. The pounding that they take, can they make it through 17 games and then still be fresh once they get into the playoffs? So I would pick Baltimore, but I think just the wear and tear on Lamar and the pressure that's on his shoulders to win every single game is different. It's difficult to carry that on for 20 weeks and make it to the Super Bowl. So I always say I think Cleveland Browns they have enough talent defensively. If they can run the ball and keep guys healthy with Chubb and everybody, they have a good chance to make a run and possibly win a Super Bowl.
That's an interesting underlining of the running quarterback. I think Steve Young would probably be considered the closest.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but he really didn't, he ran when he had to. But some of these guys, taking some shots. I can't remember Steve. Well, I guess he did take a few shots, but these running quarterbacks, they take some big shots during the course of the season.
Yeah, no doubt. Who do you got winning the AFC East? Look at those red-hot New England Patriots. Bill's rallying them around a rookie quarterback. Do they climb the mountaintop and knock off Buffalo? Would anybody go that bold?
I don't know. For me, and I know Bill is a great coach, and I know that the Patriots defense has been playing fantastic lately, which is really helping them out a lot. I just get afraid of a rookie quarterback and dealing with the length of the season. You know, like that's it. The rookie wall is a real thing. And for him to have to go through that while still trying to be the guy for the team, it's going to be quite challenging.
Orlando, you're giving the Fighting Belichick's a chance to actually beat Buffalo here. Nobody had that. This would be unbelievable. I'm rooting against it, by the way, for the record.
Me too. I'm not a huge New England fan, but I do understand. Obviously it's that hump that Buffalo still has to travel, that challenge that to really take over the division and win the division. And they have the skill set and everything to do it. But Bill Belichick has a way of figuring out and almost having mind control over the Buffalo Bills in terms of, the success he's had with them. It's a rookie quarterback, so you don't give him much of a chance to go play what's supposedly be the best team in the AFC and win that division. But, obviously, I think New England has a great chance to do it. I don't think they'll do it, but so I think Buffalo will end up winning that division just because they have so much talent. They're riding high on their confidence. Although they had a letdown in Jacksonville, I think they still have a good chance to win that division.
So wrapping up the craziness of the first half, the Titans are very much in the conversation, but they're rolling out old man Adrian Peterson. No disrespect to an incredible career. Is this possible? I mean, like when you guys see AD doing this, like, does your head spin like that's the guy you're turning to replace Derrick Henry? I mean, I would have thought they would have gone for somebody, I don't know, young guy, hope for, undersold, and then all of a sudden he can jump into it. But here comes Adrian Peterson, Nick.
Yeah, I don't know. And I had to eat my hat after the last game. So, I mean, for the foreseeable future, I'm not going to write him off. But I don't see the success continuing. But again, I've already gotten struck once. I'm not getting struck again. So for right now, I'm saying that they're gonna roll and do well, and Vrabel's gonna have them going. But in the back of my mind, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, me either. I'm not really feeling it. I think people are high on the Titans now because they beat the Rams out in LA. And I don't know if it was good Titans or just bad Rams. And I think it was more bad Rams just watching that game. If you think you're going to roll out a 35, mid-30, late 30 running back that's been coming off the street and you're going to have success in the playoffs, I don't think it happens. They play a solid defense, a branded defense. But, obviously you're going to end up putting a lot on Ryan Tannehill's shoulders and see if he can will you to a playoff win and ultimately a Super Bowl win. And I'm not confident in that notion. Obviously, Derrick Henry was the engine that made that offense go. So, I don't think they make a deep run into the playoffs.
All right, guys, let's talk taunting. And I don't want to, offend you as we talk taunting and taunt you because, if you stare at a bench nowadays, you might get a taunting penalty. 2021 NFL puts the emphasis on taunting. Officials have called 27 taunting penalties through 9 weeks. There were 10 called all of last year. Monday night was a huge in front of everybody with Cassius Marsh getting called for taunting, staring at the Steelers bench, which basically cost the Bears a football game. The NFL competition committee, Rich McKay is the top of it, chairman of the Falcons, but you got big names on there: Mike Tomlin, John Elway, Sean Payton, Ron Rivera. Do you guys like what the NFL is trying to do? Like the word role model is out there, Nick, that the NFL does not want to see kids watching football and seeing guys get in each other's faces. It's a bad example. What do you think about what the NFL is trying to do here?
I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's, trying to take emotion out of an emotional game should be impossible. It's unfortunate because, I think when we say role models, you look at a lot of guys around the league and you know what, I don't want my kid looking up to that guy, but he's still playing and still dominating. And, even then to that side too, like, you're not telling a kid in high school, hey, you need to make these one-handed catches like Odell's doing That's also not a role. Like, I want to see you pinpoint it and everything. So I think they're hiding behind that a little bit, and trying to make guys play a very physical game, and a very emotional game, and to try to take emotion out of it is stupid, and it's hurting the NFL. But this is what the NFL does. Every year they come up with something that they want emphasized, and the refs call it all the time. And it's starting from training camp, when the officials come in and give you the official, what's coming down from the league and everything. And then going through preseason, you see it, extra, and through the season, you see it, even more extra. And it's how the NFL works. I think they've got it wrong with this one. And I hope they change it very quickly.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the role model thing. The NFL has a lot of issues that they need to address in terms of looking like the model citizens. Obviously there's obviously what Aaron Rodgers is dealing with, but that's a whole nother subject in terms of role models. But I do lean towards, and I heard Jeff Saturday say this on television the other day, and offensive lineman, you'll appreciate this. Like, dude, you celebrated twice on the play, right? You've done a roundhouse kick, you yell, you celebrate with your teammates. It's a play, bro. Go back to the sideline. So I think he was fine with the first two, the celebrations, but it was too much for a tackle for loss or whatever, a sack or whatever it might have been. But obviously, as offensive linemen, we hate to see offensive linemen celebrate anyway, just natural. But get back to the sideline, man. You made a good play. Let it be over. I think the bigger issue is what's up with the ref hip checking him on the way back. I think the league needs to come out and make a statement on that, or at least, because if we as players, if we touch a ref, then that's we're getting suspended and fined. So I think that should be addressed, more so than the taunting.
Let's tackle the ref part of that. Tony Correnti has been in the NFL for 27 years. He's 69 years old. He's ref 5 Super Bowls. Should a guy who's going to be 70 years old, should he still be on a football field?
I'm not going to ageism anybody here. But when you have 22-year-old people flying around in, peak physical condition all the way up to, apparently 35 with AP and 3 with Brady. That's a recipe for disaster. I know what many people who are around that age, how they move and everything, and getting out of the way might not be the best thing. So it seemed like it was a crotchety move by him, and kind of one of those things, because I got a touching the official fine because I was pointing over to something and the ref had put his arms out to stop the clock or something, and our hands hit, and I think I got docked like $30,000 for that. And so they know it, and so I hope it's not getting weaponized, which would be absolutely terrible for the game.
Yeah. If I'm 70 years old, I'm trying to have the least amount of contact when refereeing a national football game as I can. Last thing I'm gonna do is try to at 70 try to hip check a young man who just did a roundhouse kick. So that didn't seem like it was a good idea, but hopefully the league handles it. And I don't mind, if you're 70, as long as you can make the right plays and really and still be able to put yourself in position and get out of the way of any harm. I don't mind you, reffing at 70, but obviously you got to start checking the eyes a little bit and try to grade these guys and make sure they're doing their job the right way and not either hip checking or taking a personal stance against a player or a team.
Well, he called a penalty on an offensive lineman who didn't touch anyone. He just thought that he touched it. So the eyes check was not great either. But who's taunting when you played bothered you the most, Orlando?
There was a couple. I think Warren Sapp was one of those guys that, man, he just talked the entire game, and if he made a play, it was one of those things like, dude, come on, man. He didn't do a ton of showboating, but maybe he did after he made a play. But he just talked the entire game, and just it's just one of those guys that kind of annoyed you. The thing that annoys me the most about taunting, though, let me say this, is cornerbacks. The ball's 20 yards over somebody's head, and they're sitting here like they covered somebody or they shut him down. Bro, it's just a bad throw. Like, chill out. on that. So these guys, that speaks to their arrogance and their, I guess it's good for television. At least the camera put it on them if they, errant a high throw or high ball or something like that, and they're still making it seem like they shut that receiver down.
That is when it's a bad throw and they do absolutely nothing and they're celebrating the incompletion. This is the dumbest thing that we're doing around here. I didn't really, I don't know, no one sticks out in my mind as a big taunting guy or talking guy, other than the one guy that would never shut up was Bart Scott. Like he would not stop talking. Like all he did was talk and talk, and didn't matter about anything. And I guess that's why he has a radio show now every day. But it was funny because like people always ask like, oh, who's the biggest trash talker? Who really gets into it? And it was like, I have no idea. Because I was so tired after a play that I was just sucking in air and getting back to the huddle. So if someone was talking trash to me, I had no idea because it wasn't a part of my game, and I didn't care if anybody else was doing it.
Yeah, offensive lineman story, Nick. I'm telling you, people are like, Orlando, did you talk trash? I'm like, no, I was trying to catch my breath and get ready for the next play. I had no time to be out there talking with guys about whatever that didn't matter. I'm just trying to get my block and on to the next play.
That's interesting, though, because I hear veterans talk about who watch the game like, how's this dude not on the field every play? I was out there, 99% or whatever it was. Does that irk you when you see the league's going a little bit that way where dudes are playing closer to, I don't know, 60%, even the top guys?
Yeah, D linemen are like that. They rotate through. There's always like the pass rushing specialists that would come in on third down. And you sit there like, well, what were you doing the other two downs? Like, you can't be out here the whole time. Like, all right, but you're still getting paid, $10 million a year. Like, this is absurd. And so, yeah, I think it's more of an offensive line thing because, we don't rotate. And so you're out there whole game. And so seeing defensive linemen, tap the helmet and get to rotate through, it's like, oh, you guys are just terrible.
You would see a different guy, Orlando, trying to get to Kurt, and you got to handle it. But that's why you're a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, and those are the worst guys, especially in the preseason. They'll bring some young kid in off, and you're like, dude, who is this kid? Like, you didn't study him, and they're flying up the field, like, it's like, dude, sit down, settle down somewhere. But yeah, those pass rush specialists, and they come in, and you hate to see those guys taunting because, dude, you only play like 30% of the plays, man. What are you doing out here? You know what I mean? So just one of those things you hate to see those guys coming.
All right, before we get to our picks, let's just you guys have been talking about the Browns a ton. I need to get verdicts here. Whose side are we on here? Baker or OBJ? Odell, of course, is looking for his next home, but when you size up the way that relationship went, who do you put the blame on, Orlando?
Wow, I think it could be both guys. I think at a certain extent, I don't know if Odell ever fit that system of what they do there in Cleveland. He didn't want to go to Cleveland. The Giants kind of did him a disservice by sending him out that way, thinking that he would die or he would fall, and he's kind of making him look a little true. Let me ask you guys a question: how good is Odell Beckham Jr. though? Is it just a one catch? Has he done anything over the span of 4 or 5 years? Because that's one of those things you kind of look at too. I know he gets a lot of pub off that one catch, but if you bring him on to your ball club, is he a winner or not?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because you look at Odell and especially here in New York. I mean, when he was here, early on, it was he was the second coming of Jerry Rice, and I think he really enjoyed the off the field, which I think has hurt his on the field. And I think when we say, all right, are you team Baker or team Odell? I think it's probably both, and at the same time, I don't think we'll ever know because both sides are going to try to make themselves look better than they are, and no one's going to come out and flatly say, oh yeah, I was the bad guy, so it was on me. I think the most telling thing is going to be what happens to Baker and the Browns and what happens to Odell for the rest of the season. If Baker and the Browns and that offense is rolling, and Odell goes off somewhere and, has 5 catches and, it really doesn't make a difference, I think that's going to be very telling. And so, I look at Odell and I think he's got all the talent in the world. And, I want him to be good because I think when he's good, when he's making these great catches, it's better for the NFL. I think he needs to find, and I think he just needs to find his happy place, wherever that is. Is it, Tampa Bay? Is it, Green Bay, wherever it is. And if he's in a spot that he feels good, I think he can get back to where he was early on.
Yeah, but if you're a GM, you bringing him in, either of you?
He would have to, you have to look at your team and see if you're a veteran team, is he that one guy that can get you over the hump? I think it's a big question. And then he has to be himself. I felt like in Cleveland, he's an emotional guy. And I felt like in Cleveland, he was trying to temper his emotions a little bit and not be, obviously as emotional as he was in New York. So he was trying to be a different guy, and it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, I think as a GM, I'm looking at who my quarterback is. Do I have a stable quarterback who can handle Odell's emotion? I think Tom Brady would be a great example because he dealt with, many different receivers over the course of his career. And so he's probably adapted, I think Aaron Rodgers would be the same. Like, I don't think I'm putting him with Kyler Murray. I don't think I'm putting him with Lamar Jackson, younger guys who, aren't able to be able to manage someone like that. Definitely not like Justin Herbert, wouldn't put him with him. Even, I don't think Buffalo would be great either. Like, I don't think Josh Allen is quite there yet. And then, like Orlando said, the other side, so you got to know your quarterback and know if you can handle him. But then also, is he that one piece? Is he going to make us, get over that little hump that we need? And so there's a lot to package in that. And so we'll see where he ends up. Cause someone's going to take a flyer on him because I think he still has good talent in him. I don't know if that talent has faded so much that it's not going to matter anymore.
Good stuff. Let's wrap up with our picks as we always do. Rough week for you guys, both 1 and 2, but we want to shout out one of our diehard Big Man Bets listeners who I'm going to fall on the sword for this one. He apparently we did not get our picks correctly 1 week where I was named. He says, this is our guy, Apostas. Hey guys, love the show. Keep it up. Just one correction. Nick wasn't 3-0 last week. Nick predicted the under on the Bears versus the 49ers. It was Orlando who predicted the under on Minnesota versus Dallas. Pay more attention to who makes the picks and don't fade Orlando. Hey, Apostas, that's me. We can't put so thank you, and we will try to be better. So, people are paying attention to what's going on here, team. Just know that.
Well, I now don't like that snitch.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right. So last week, both of y'all were 1 and 2. So Orlando, you're coming in at 13 and 12. Nick, you're 16 and 9. Your wins last week was Orlando with Minnesota, Baltimore with the over on 49.5. That hit at 65. And Nick, you had the Giants, so congrats on both of those. Rough week for many last week, including yours truly, but we don't need to talk about that. Nick, pick of the week. What do you got this week? And, of course, go to WynnBET, WYNNBET.com for all your betting needs. WynnBET, we love you. Nick, go ahead and start us off.
Listen, like I said earlier, I don't like this board. This was a tough one to pick. It's not. There's Vegas is starting to get too good, and I don't like it. So this one to me has an asterisk because we just don't know yet. But I am taking the Packers versus Seahawks -3.5. I think Aaron Rodgers will be back, and if he is back, goodbye Seahawks. He is going to come out like no one's business slinging that ball around.
Good pick.
The number on that game is 49.5, so it's Vegas doesn't seem to know if he's going to play or not. Go ahead, Orlando.
For me, it's Los Angeles Rams -3.5 over the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams played awful last week. I think they bounced back. I think Matt Stafford has a better game. They'll be disappointed in how they play, so they'll come out with their hair on fire to play this game offensively. McVay will have those guys ready. So I'm going with my Rams minus 3.5 over the 49ers.
That's
like it.
I like that one.
Orlando, you're upset?
My upset. Oh man, this is we've been talking a lot of Browns on this show. So I'm going Browns +1 over New England. I think the Browns get it together. Baker comes out, have a big game, defense, and they'll start tuning it up for this playoff run.
Going with the Browns. All right, upset. I just don't like them this year, and they have to play at home. So I am going. I don't like the Chiefs. I don't think they're that great. So I'm going with the Raiders +3 versus the Chiefs.
I'm just gonna have to be the guy that calls out both of you on these weak upsets. A 1-point upset, Orlando. 1 point.
I'm trying to gain ground. I'm trying to gain ground here, man. I'm telling you.
That is just that is sliding by like my college career. All right, that's fine. Let's do. Thank you, the University of Iowa. Let's go over unders. Nick, go ahead.
All right, over under. I'm looking at the Saints versus the Titans. I love what the Titans did against the Rams, and I said that I'm going to keep backing them now. So I'm taking the over 44.5.
Ooh, good pick. Yeah, for me, I'm going the Dallas Cowboys versus the Atlanta Falcons. Over under is 54.5. I'm going with the under. I think it'll be a tight game, defensive battle, but I will go under 54.5 points.
All right, 13-12. You're not out of this, Orlando. You're
not out of it yet. A lot of football left to be played.
A lot of football. 3 games back is nothing hey, depending on how it goes, you could be tied up after this week. Gentlemen, great stuff. We appreciate you. Big man bets as we go into the second half of the season, just getting better each week, damn it. That's the goal. And hey, good luck on the picks this week, team.
Thank you. Good luck.
See you guys next week.